Hello human beings, Power Gamer here, and I've always had a fascination with RPGs, and I recently discovered a service that will send some to you. I just got here, so let's check it out. Should've read the fine print.
Dragon Quest, a series that's either insanely popular or who gives a crap. This series is a pioneer in the game industry and was the birth of the jRPG genre. People absolutely love this series. In Japan. The rest of the world, not so much.
But why is that? Is it because it caters more to Japanese audiences, or did it just come out at the wrong time? Well, let's take a look back to where it all began.
The game was developed by Chunsoft and published by Enix. It was primarily designed by Yuji Horii, who took heavy inspiration from the games Wizardry and Ultima. He wanted to create an RPG that anyone could pick up and play, and he believed the Famicom would be the ideal system for the game. The game was originally going to have multiple playable characters, but it was reduced to one due to the system's memory constraints. The game was released in Japan on May 27th, 1986, where it was quite the success. Other countries wouldn't see it though until August 1989, where the title was changed to Dragon Warrior, since Dragon Quest was already the name of a tabletop RPG. The game was initially unsuccessful, but Nintendo was able to improve its sales by including a copy with subscriptions to Nintendo Power. The success of the game eventually led to a series that, despite being really popular in Japan, remains relatively dormant in the West. It has its fans, but nowhere near as many as other RPG giants like Final Fantasy or Elder Scrolls.
While I really enjoy RPGs as a genre, there are many big RPG franchises I haven't touched, with Dragon Quest being one of them, but I am curious to see what it's like. Although I'm not playing the original, I'm playing the remaster on the Switch, since it's ultimately the same game, but with some quality of life improvements and better graphics. So let's see how jRPGs got their start.
The game starts with you naming your character. Your character is a descendant of Erdrick, a great hero who saved the land many years ago and blessed it with a magical relic known as the Sphere of Light. The evil Dragon Lord has stolen the sphere, and the king tasks you with stopping him. Nah, I'm just gonna go stand in the corner. It's nice. Alright, fine. You also learn that the king's daughter, Princess Gwaelin, has been kidnapped, and you must collect 3 relics that were hidden by Erdrick in order to make a bridge to the Dragon Lord's castle. It's as basic of an RPG story as you can get. Save the princess, collect the things, and defeat the villain. But this was the originator of that type of story, so it makes sense. The original already looked good for an NES game, and the remaster makes it look even better. The colors, the sprite work, the enemy portraits, it all around looks great. And while there's not much variety in the music, what's here is really enjoyable. The game is mostly played from an overhead perspective, and it's split into 2 types of locations. In the overworld, you're mostly exploring, and it zooms in when you enter towns and dungeons. When you're in dungeons or in the overworld, you can engage in battle with enemies. Encounters are random, so you could go a while without seeing anything, or run into a battle every other step. Battles are turn-based, meaning you select an action and see both yourself and the enemy do something. The battle ends when one of you dies. I guess technically the style originated from Dungeons and Dragons, but this is the first time it was implemented into a video game, at least that I know of. And yeah, it definitely feels that way. The combat is incredibly simple. You only control one character, and there's a grand total of 4 types of actions you can perform. You can attack, cast a spell, use an item, or try to run away. Battles are in first person, and the attack animations are incredibly basic. Again, this was the first time anything like this had been attempted, so it makes sense. But that doesn't change the fact that this system is incredibly basic and pretty repetitive. Almost every battle can be summed up as you and the enemy slapping each other until one of you dies. Every once in a while, you'll get a critical hit where your attack does more damage, you can miss, which is just annoying, and sometimes either you or the enemy will get a free attack at the start of battle. Other than that, they all feel the same. The system isn't bad though, it was a pretty impressive step forward in gaming. It's still enjoyable, but playing it nowadays just shows how simple it is. The one thing I can really commend though is the enemies themselves. They all have great designs, and their portraits in the original were pretty detailed for 1986. A lot of enemies are reused and just given different colors for later in the game, but they still look good. And I think a lot of people know the famous slime enemy. Aw, just look at how cute they are.
Almost makes you feel bad about killing them. Almost.
Every enemy you kill gives you experience and money. As you gain experience, you level up and increase your stats. Whenever you die, you get sent back to the king's throne room. You keep any experience you gained, but you lose half of your money. This can be a problem early game, since the weaker enemies barely give you any money, and better weapons and armor are super expensive. You can try fighting stronger enemies, but they'll likely kill you in just a few hits. The early parts of the game can be really slow, since if you want to stand a chance, you have to grind. What's grinding, you ask? It's running around and fighting enemies to get stronger, and it's not fun or engaging, it's boring. Oh, come on! You know what? Screw this. I'm going back to the corner. Much better. As you level up, you can also learn spells, which cost MP to use. The better the spell, the more MP it costs. There's 10 spells total. Heal, which heals you a bit. Sizz, which hits the enemy with some fire. Glow, which lights up dark caves. Snooze, which can put enemies to sleep. Evac, which lets you escape dungeons. Fizzle, which prevents enemies from casting spells. Zoom, which returns you to the castle. Holy Protection, which prevents encounters, but only from weaker enemies. Mid-heal, which heals you a lot. And Sizzle, which hits the enemy with a giant wall of fire. Much of the journey is spent in the overworld, which is divided into sections. Each section is separated by a bridge, and once you cross one, you'll start encountering different enemies. You can walk over anything except water and gray mountains, and there's these poison tiles that hurt you if you walk over them. There's also a bunch of towns to visit where you can rest and purchase things like healing items or new gear. You can equip a weapon, armor, and a shield, which help increase your stats. Most are purchased in shops, but some are found in dungeons. You also need to talk to people in order to progress, either because they'll point you in the right direction, or certain events won't happen unless you speak to the correct person.
It's best if you just talk to every person you see. The opposite of what I do in real life.
There's a handful of dungeons, but they're not that interesting. It takes about 5 minutes to get through any of them, and you mostly fight the same enemies you see in the overworld. The only big difference is they're dark, so you can barely see anything unless you light a torch or use the glow spell. The glow spell is temporary, while torches last until you leave. You can only carry 10 items at once, including your weapon and armor, so hope you don't run out of room when you're in a dungeon. Some items stack, but some don't. Either way, you're gonna need to store some items in this storage area. You can only save the game by talking to the king. This means if you're far away from the castle, you have to either run all the way back, use an item, or use the zoom spell. And then later, you have to run back to where you were if there was something you missed. The overworld isn't that big, but running back and forth can get pretty tedious, especially with the random encounters. Thankfully, the remaster lets you quick save at any time, which is not only great if you need to stop in the middle of something, but it also means you don't have to run all the way back if you die, since you can just reload your save file.
This is why I'm playing the remaster.
The game is actually pretty open-ended. With the exception of the Dragon Lord's castle, you can go anywhere you want right from the beginning. You'll get demolished by any of the stronger enemies you'll run into, but you're still free to do things in any order you like. I first went to the Tomb of Erdrick, where you learn that you have to find the descendants of 3 priests Erdrick gave treasures to reach the Dragon Lord. I went to the town of Cole, where I found this fairy flute. Went to another town called Galenholm and accomplished nothing. I found one of the priests in a shrine, but he needs a harp. After this rocky cave, I went to the town of Rimmildar, where you can walk in on a woman changing. Yeah, might want to lock your door. This is also where you can buy magic keys, which let you open locked doors. Once you get some, head to the swamp cave to save the princess from this dragon. And wow, that wasn't even close. Alright, back to grinding. Now I'm back. This is the game's first real boss fight. And again, it's just attacking each other until someone dies. Yes, I won! And Princess Gwaelin is so grateful she makes you carry her back to the castle. Okay, that's just funny. I'll just use this to get back. And okay, can't use that in a cave. Evac out, and then use the item to drop her off. Now you can enter this area where one of the priests will give you the Sunstone. And I didn't know about this until much later.
Whoops.
Moving on, you can find this abandoned town full of monsters called Domdora, dang it, and reach the town of Mercado where you fight this golem, play the flute to put it to sleep, and then just whack it until it dies. This town has the best sword and shield in the game, and this area with some water stuff where...
What was that?
Reach the end, and this guy tells you how far you are from the castle.
Well, that was pointless.
Find the last shrine, and the priest demands proof that you're related to Erdrick. You find this thing in a poison tile, and then he tells you to seek the rain and the sun. It just means you need to get the objects from the other priests.
Well, that would have been nice to know earlier.
So I returned to Domdora and found Erdrick's armor, which is the best armor in the game. It heals you with every step and makes you immune to the poison tiles. And that stupid water in Mercado. I then realized I missed something in Galenholm, so after wandering around this cave, I found the Lyre of Ire. What the hell is that? Oh, it's the Silver Heart. Why isn't it just called the Silver Heart? Whatever, I take it to the priest and get the Staff of Rain, finally get the Sunstone, and when there's this dude, you die. I then bring them to the last priest. You need my ID again? I was just here an hour ago. Okay, I got it out of storage and ran all the way back. Here, take the stupid things. He combines them into the Rainbow Drop, and now it's time to take on the Dragon Lord. After a bit of grinding. Use the Rainbow Drop to create a bridge and enter the Dragon Lord's castle. It's filled with the strongest enemies in the game, but you should be fine if you're prepared. When you finally reach the Dragon Lord, he gives you the offer to join him. You know what? Sure, that sounds like a sweet deal.
Okay, so you can't actually join him in this version. That's disappointing.
Refuse to join him, and he attacks. He's immune to all of your spells, so just keep attacking him and using mid-heal when you get low on health. Yes, he's dead! And then he turns into a dragon. Wow, RPGs have been pulling the whole multi-phase final boss shtick since the beginning. That's good to know. He's a lot stronger this time, and you need to know when to attack and when to heal. He does the same attacks in the same order every time, so you should get it down after a handful of attempts. Thank God for quick saves. And there he goes. Reclaim the Sphere of Light and take it back to the king, who thanks you. He then offers you a chance to become the new king, but the hero declines. This is the only time in the entire game your character actually talks. The hero claims he wants to build his own kingdom and leaves to do so, but not before Princess Gwaelin asks to come along. Nah, I'm good. I want to do this on my own. I said no. No! No! Okay, I guess this also isn't actually an option. Fine. The hero picks her up, and you both head off to start your new kingdom. And that's the end of the game.
Game conquered. Dragon Quest has aged a bit, but it still has some charm. If you're not already into RPGs, this probably won't do anything to change your mind, but if you are, I think this is worth playing, if for no other reason than to see how the genre essentially got its start. The combat is really simple, but I still think it can be pretty fun. The remaster's $5, and it only takes about 6 hours to get through the game, so if you have some time to kill, give it a shot. What the?
Our world is in danger, and we need you to stop it. Travel across the land and collect the magical artifacts to slay the evil monster.
Nah, I'm good.